Hello and welcome back to Before Our Friends Die. You're joined by me, Kavan.
Me, Rachel.
And this is a fantastic bonus episode where we get to know the guests from last week. We were joined by Jane Pilcher and Hannah Deacon-Smith. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Let's go. So the first question, Jane, we'll go for you first. Who's the richest person in your phone book?
Now,
So you don't, yeah,
go ahead.
no, carry on.
I don't think I know any rich people. I come from a single parent social housing working class background, and my life is still like that a lot, even though I'm an associate professor at university. So I really don't think I know anyone who is rich, and they're certainly not in my kind of phone book, even if I kind of might know of them. I don't know them that well.
Hannah?
The richest person in my phone book is a girl I went to university with, who we were in halls together, and I'm sort of similar background to Jane, and I was put next to this girl who came from really wealthy family, house in Henley, and sort of absolutely minted, and we were quite a social experiment being next door to each other in halls. We're just opposite lives, but we ended up being quite good friends, and she is still in my phone book, so she is probably still the richest person I've ever met in my entire life.
Yeah. The second question I've got is, who has the most potential that you know?
Who are you going for?
Jane.
Do I go first?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so I think it's my daughter. Okay, so she's 23 in March. She's just kind of in her first post-university job. She's always she's 4 years younger than my son, and my son was good at everything. There's not a single thing he wasn't good at. And she kind of grew up in his shadow a bit and got overshadowed by him a bit. But she's really kind of making her own way now, and she's kind of come on so much in the last sort of 5-6 years of her life. She's got so far to go still, I think, because she's really making her own way now, and it's really lovely to see.
I love that. We've all got a path of our own to take, and when we find it, we start flying, and I love that. I love seeing it in other people as well. Just out of interest, pure curiosity, what did your daughter study at university?
A proper science. Yeah, she did not want to do sociology. She ended up doing basically biology at university.
Gutted, absolutely gutted. She missed the trick there. Hannah?
She did.
Who has the most potential that you know?
Most potential, I think, is my children, but their peers. So I have young children. They're only nearly 6 and 8. And I think I overhear conversations with them and their friends and with me about big issues like the environment, sexuality, race, diversity, all these things. And I just think they have so much potential. They've just got it so right. There's just so much potential that if they can bring that through to when they are the adults, I just feel like the world will be such a better place. Just so many examples where they say things and I think, yeah, if all the adults felt like that, the world would be better. So I just think, just a little example, I was out shopping with my children the other day and my little boy asked if he could buy a Valentine's present for a girl in his class. And I said, yeah. And I said to my daughter, oh, do you want to buy anything for anyone in your class? And she said, yeah, I want to buy one for her friend, a female friend. And I said, oh, that's great. She was like, oh, I really love her. And I thought, do you know what? You've just thought, who do I love? I love her. No question of gender, no question of anything, just that. So I love her. And I said, yeah, buy it for her. And I thought, if everyone could just think that, who do you love? It doesn't matter who they are. That's who you love. That's who you love. And I thought there's so many examples of that where I just think when you're the adults of this world, the world will be a better place. So I think they have the potential to change things.
The new world leaders.
Break down all the barriers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Next question, Jane. Who is the most influential person you know?
Okay, so probably I know a couple of university vice chancellors or pro vice chancellors, because I'm pretty old now, and people I kind of in my early career I worked with as lecturers have taken a different path. They've kind of gone down the admin route in a university. So I know 2 people who are kind of got very high up in universities, and they're probably the most influential people I know within my kind of work environment, at least.
And Hannah, who's the most influential person you know?
I wasn't going to say this because I think it might make me sound like a bit of a melt, but I'm going to have to go with my husband because he works in construction, and the last few years he's set up a bit of a it's a totally non-profit social impact program in schools. He's written a couple of children's books. He goes in and does activities, and it's all about encouraging the next generation to consider construction and STEM subjects and engineering from backgrounds that wouldn't naturally think about it. And he gives his time to this project, and we're already starting to see some really positive outcomes from it. So I think his influence over the next few years will be really positive in that area of education. So I'm going to have to be a melt and go with my husband, I'm afraid. So
I think being a melt is important in some areas of our lives.
Yeah.
Just out of interest, is there a website or anything we could put in the description below so people can go to that?
Yep, definitely. I'll send it over. Yeah, it's called When I Grow Up.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it'll be a good read, to be honest. Next question I've got. You are at your best when you are ...
Jane.
Well, I'm at my best when I'm listening. I love listening to people. I'm not much of a talker. People sort of say, "Oh, Jane, you're not saying very much." I like to listen. I like to listen to people talking. I like to listen to, if I'm out on a walk, I like to listen to what's going on in the air. You think you're going out for a walk in the countryside, it's going to be pretty quiet, but there's birds singing, there's a lot going on, and I think I'm at my best when I'm kind of listening to the world, listening to other people.
Well, I must say, Jane, if I can get a cheeky plug in, we've got 25 episodes in the archives at the moment. So if you ever get bored of those birds tweeting, 25 episodes to get stuck into before our friends die, and 25 more of other shows as well on the network. So please do get stuck in. Hannah, when are you at your best?
I am at my best when I'm with my kids. Like I say, they're still quite young, and I think you have to be your best version of yourself around them. You can't show you're stressed or upset or worried or anxious. So I always think when I'm with them, I'm the best version of myself.
That's a good point.
Beautiful answer.
That's a good point.
Next question I've got. One thing you never regret doing, Jane?
Taking time for myself. So I think it's really important. And every day, some people call it mindfulness. I call it mindlessness. I just kind of try and relax and really empty my mind. And, I take time every day to do that without fail, no matter how busy I am. I think it's really important just to to stop and kind of think or not think, or just just be still as much as you can in your body and your mind for a while each day.
Jane, you've said that's the second really profound thing you've said to me today, yeah? Mindlessness. Of course, because your mind is so full that you need to just take that break. Why do we call it mindfulness and not mindlessness?
Yeah, I never understood that either.
I'm going to campaign is coming. Campaign is pending, and we'll get on it because that's really powerful. Hannah, what about you?
I never regret every day, similar to Jane, every day I walk the dog at lunchtime. Whether I'm a work day or a non-work day, I walk the dog every lunchtime. And I just think it just breaks the day. It comes from years of work. Pre-COVID, I was working at home, so I had to do something to keep myself sane, and it's walk the dog. So every lunchtime, I walk the dog, to the point where we lost our dog a couple of years ago, and I had to go get another dog because I really felt like it affected me that I didn't have a dog to walk. So, I never regret walking the dog at lunch.
Next question. I think I'm looking forward to the answer for this one. Where do you see yourself in 5 years, Jane?
Well, I'm getting so old now. Look, retirement is kind of something that I should probably be thinking about in 5 years' time. So I'm coming up to 60 in a few years. So 5 years' time, I'll be possibly thinking more and more about leaving my job and, I don't know, going off in a caravan or something, or a camper van or something around the world.
Are you a fan of, I don't know, you might not even be familiar with it, but camper van YouTube? It's like a corner of YouTube where people convert campers and convert vans, and they always live off grid. I'm fascinated. I'm hooked by it.
Yeah.
Have you considered it yourself in terms of building your own, or would you buy one that's already pre-made?
I'd probably get one that's pre-made. I'm not a very practical person. But yeah, I quite like that idea of just being where you are, and home is where you are, and wherever that might be on the road kind of thing. I quite like that idea.
Could you let go of sociology?
As you know, once it's in your head, you can't get it out. it's like a profound change that you can't stop seeing the world in that way. I don't think ever.
Yeah.
Once you kind of thought, once you've been trained to think sociologically, and so I'll never be able to kind of discard it, because it's kind of like almost part of my DNA now.
Hannah, what about you? Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Well, firstly, Jane's not allowed to retire, so I'll still be working for Jane in 5 years' time, just to put that out there. No, I hope in 5 years, I hope I'm working in research, on research that I care about and that I enjoy. That's professionally what I hope to be doing in 5 years. And in 5 years, my children will be like proper people. They'll be older. So I think that will be a nice phase as well, to be able to have a different sort of way of being with them and different kind of family life. So, yeah.
What's that, 11 and 13?
Yes, about that. My maths is terrible, but yeah, so I think that'll be quite, I mean, I'm probably really wrong and it'll be absolutely hideous, but in my mind, we're going to be great. We're going to travel together and do loads of stuff. So that's the dream. So, yeah.
And the last question I've got, advice you will give yourself 10 years ago?
I would probably tell myself to change jobs sooner than I did. So, I was at the University of Leicester for something like 26 years.
Wow.
Before I left in January 2019 to go to Nottingham Trent University. And I think I probably should have moved before 2019. I probably should have moved, something around, I don't know, 5 or 10 years ago, probably. I think I would tell myself to, be brave, move on, go somewhere else, get refreshed with new people and new ideas and new opportunities.
Is that important in life, do you think? Because we alluded to it in part 1 of our conversation, which is out right now if you're listening. We alluded that names, they are cyclical, they change over time and they get refreshed and they come back revigorated. Yeah. Do you feel that's the same for life in your experience?
I think so. I think you can get really comfortable in things and too comfortable, almost in a rut, and you can't necessarily see that there's a way where you could refresh what you're doing. But I think there are ways to do it without like chucking up your whole life and blowing things up massively, but just little changes to just keep you fresh, keep your perspective kind of renewed, get your energy levels up again. I think that those kind of like little changes you can make are important, I think.
And Hannah, what about you? Pre-kids, 10 years ago, what advice would you give it to yourself?
10 years ago, I was sort of at a funny junction of, I was just coming to the end of my PhD and sort of had this idea I was going to be this academic, and then I finished my PhD and thought I don't actually know if I want to anymore, so I didn't know what to do. I wanted several things in life that all felt impossible at the same time, and I think I stressed over it a lot, and I think the advice I'd give myself is to just sort of relax and let it happen, and it would all sort of come reasonably good in the end. So that's the advice I'd give myself.
That's very similar to the advice we gave ourselves, isn't it?
100%. Just chill, relax, everything works out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
hindsight's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, exactly. And with that has been Before Our Friends Die, the Get to Know episode, part 2 of our conversation with Jane Pilcher and Hannah Deacon-Smith. Part 1 is all about names, getting them right, getting them wrong, what the impact is, and lots more. Make sure you go back in the archives and check it out. I've been Kavan.
I've been Rachel.
This has been Before Our Friends Die on the akhi&saltfish digital network. You can contact us on akhi&saltfish@gmail.com. But also, please don't forget to leave a 5-star rating and review for this show. It really helps us out. And finally, share this with a friend. And don't forget to follow us on social media at Before Our Friends Die Pod and akhi&saltfish on Twitter and Instagram. There we go. Thank you very much. Take care and have a good one.